Hey guys, this is Chris Jones for episode 43 of Ask Me Anything. I am going to chat today about search engine optimization. As you guys know, as many of you know, back in 2008, I wrote a version of this book. It was the first edition of Search Engine Optimization, Your Visual Blueprint for Effective Internet Marketing. That first edition went on to sell some 40,000 copies. They asked me to write the second edition, which I did in 2010. It was published. That went on to sell tens of thousands of copies. And then in 2013, I published the third edition, and the three books total have gone on to sell over 100,000 copies. But it's referred to kind of in the industry as SEO Visual Blueprint. If you're in the industry, you've probably seen the book, or maybe you even have it. Hopefully with a bunch of dog ears and post-it notes, and hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. I could tell you this much, that there's a ton of content in here. If you're an entrepreneur or a website owner, and you're just looking for a good guide to kind of support you as you're trying to rank higher in search engines, this is a good guide, so I'm told. And I spent a lot of time writing the content. So chapter 6 of this book is what I want to chat with you guys about today. And it's on on-site content optimization. So really quick, not for those of you that are advanced SEOs, but just hang tight if you're advanced. But if you're familiarizing yourself with content marketing, the industry really refers to two types of content production. On-site copy, meaning the content that is hosted on your website, right? And off-site content. That's the content that is published on third-party websites that may link back to your website. This episode, we're going to chat about on-site copy optimization, not the link building, link placement side of it. I've chatted about that in prior AMAs. And just to put it in the context, that the next video in the series, I may revisit that topic, just so for those of you that are watching this and really want to better understand the nuance and the difference, why you would focus on on-site copy optimization and off-site to increase your overall ranking and the breadth of keywords you rank for. I may do a next episode on that. But that said, on-site copy optimization, right? So in the old days of SEO, the number one ranking factor was the quantity and the quality of links. And it used to be just quantity if you go back to the late 90s and early 2000s. But the quantity and quality of links pointing back into your site was really such a dominant ranking factor that as long as you were doing that, you didn't need a ton of copy, a ton of content on your site to rank. In fact, you could manipulate what those links said in the form of anchor text to send Google messages about what you want your site to rank for, even if the site wasn't about it. Those days are long gone. And all of the most recent positioning by Google and by industry SEO experts like myself, we all agree that the three primary ranking factors, like if you want to rank your business higher in search engines, number one is still the same. It's that analysis. It's a real-time analysis of the quality and the quantity of links that are pointing into your site. But almost an equal number two. They're kind of like, love and marriage. You can't almost have the one without the other in this day and age, is content marketing. On-site content. You just can't rank for keywords that you want to rank for if you don't have content on your site that justifies that ranking. And that's what we're going to chat about today. By the way, the third ranking factor is what I call a sort of hodgepodge of a bunch of other less important, I'll bet important, but more important in aggregate. Google refers to it as RankBrain, which is their machine learning sort of AI algorithm that looks at a host of on-site factors, from how quickly your site loads to whether or not all of your meta information is optimized, like image alt tags and header tags, H1, H2, looking at bounce rates, looking at a whole host of things, which again, we could chat about in a future AMA. You guys are watching this here. If you want me to do an AMA just on the hodgepodge, rank brain, bring it. I'd love that challenge. It's a pretty cool topic, and it's something that I pay a lot of attention to. But let's get back to that second ranking factor, which again is like the love and marriage. I mean, it's really as important. If you can't kind of have a content marketing strategy with no domain authority, which is the link analysis. So content is critical. So I'm going to give you guys 7 really important things to consider. Actually, this is not even a number 1. You've got to have, if you want to rank higher in search engines, you've got to put together a content marketing strategy so that you're publishing content on your website on a regular basis over time. On a regular basis over time. It's not a static. Write 5 pieces of content, publish them, and all of a sudden you rank for all of your dream keywords. It's not how it works. That's not the strategy that I'm suggesting, because that strategy will not work. What I'm suggesting is that you need to put together a strategy that is consistent and that continues over a long period of time. Now, that's not a tip. Here are my tips. Number 1, the reason why you want to put together a content strategy in the first place is because you want to rank for more keywords, right? Preferably keywords that are most relevant to driving the commercialization of your business or driving something about your business, your brand, new products, whatever it is that you sell. That starts with keyword research. That's actually, I forget what chapter that is. I said chapter 6 is content. I have a whole chapter in this book, SEO Visual Blueprint, on keywords. Chapter 2, keyword generation. Keyword generation is easy, and there are so many tools that are available for free or for a nominal amount that it's worth making the investment of time and or resources, financial resources, to get this right. So before you start writing content, you want to leverage a tool like the Google Keyword Planner suggestion tool. It's a free tool available. I think you may have to have a Google AdWords account, but it's free to create the account. And you have access to information on the types of keywords that other users are typing in. So it gives you a relative gauge of popularity around the keywords, because while all keywords aren't created equal, right? Some of them are being used more frequently than others, and I'll just leave it at that. But there are also other tools that are sort of intelligence tools. I'll call them intelligence tools or competitive analysis tools that can help you with your keyword research, which again is the first step before you start writing content. Tools like SEMrush, which I believe has a freemium or a free tier, SpyFu, and others. Those tools allow you to look at your competition and pull down the keywords that they're either bidding on or that they rank for. It's worth either reading the chapter in my book. Actually, you don't have to buy the book. If you comment below or if you private message me, I'll be happy to send you an actual PDF of both chapters, chapter 2 and chapter 6, just so you guys can familiarize yourself with it. But the point is when you're getting your competitor information, it saves you a lot of time and it gives you a good starting point. So my tip is that it's not just about keyword research, but it's about creating what I call a target keyword list. A target keyword list is let's just say you come up with thousands of keywords that you ideally would like to rank for, but what I would ask you to do is to come up with the top, say, 100 to 250 that you're most likely to rank for, and I talk about that in the book. But that should be your target list. Those are the keywords that you're going to pull from when you're putting together a content calendar, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and those are the keywords that you're going to pull from when you're optimizing specific pieces of content and meta information. Okay, still with me? Good. I think we only have, there's definitely less than 10 minutes here, maybe less than 5 minutes, so just stick with me. And again, post questions below if you have them. So start with the keywords. Just another basic tip here, which is my tip 3, which is writing for humans, but optimized for search engines. I'm not one of those sort of artsy people who say that, just write great content, you'll rank for it. Honestly, if your goal is to rank higher on Google, I think that it requires some science. So, write for humans, but optimize for search engines. That's part art, part science. Fourth tip is you do want to avoid over-optimization. I know why my artsy friends say to just write great content, because if you take it to the extreme of just writing for search engines, you're likely going to over-optimize. In other words, do things like they call keyword stuffing. So you want to rank for a particular keyword, so you use it in ways that it shouldn't be used, and you basically cram it into the content such that it's not going to be friendly to the person reading it, so it will have very little value to them, and could also trigger a red flag with Google. We want to avoid that. So again, it's probably more art than science, by the way, but you do want to avoid over-optimization. You don't want to not write content based on target keywords, but at the same time, you don't want to just stuff your content with keywords. You do that, you'll end up in quicksand in Google's eyes, and that won't be favorable. So here are this is tip 5, but it's really a bunch of real specific, because one of the questions I get a lot is like, well, Chris, great, I understand. Chris, you want me to if you're a local business, you've told me that you want me to become a de facto, meaning a default resource in our community for whatever it is that you do. And I do. If you're a local business, or for that matter, a business in general, I do. I want you to produce so much content that people end up on your website and with great information. I do. But then you'll say, well, how long does the content have to be? And you start asking questions about the specifics of what this content should look like. My recommendation at this point is you need to mix it up, right? It shouldn't look the same every single time. It should look natural. But there are some requirements, at least some suggestions. Focus on content that is informational and/or useful, engaging, entertaining, or that just solves problems. And it could be written content, it could be video content, it could be infographics, it could be listicles. A listicle is sort of like top five reasons why to vacation in Ocean City, Maryland. Top 7 reasons to avoid personal injury lawyers before contacting the emergency room or something. But it's a list of suggestions that, if you're looking, because I'm about to recommend a long-term content strategy that's going to require a lot of creativity around coming up with new content. So mixing it up gives you the opportunity to really kind of go outside of just one linear strategy. And listicles do. And listicles are used on a lot of the major websites because they're easy to consume. They're interesting. They're easy to make engaging because they jump all over the place. So anyway, consider that, and that's what a listicle is. Mix up the length. I used to say that a minimum of 300 to 500 words, and I actually even mentioned that in the book, I believe. But where I'm at with it now is just mix up the length. A short listicle could accomplish exactly what you want with the content, whereas a longer form will go a long way, especially on a technical topic or a topic that requires a little bit more sort of information. Another thing is, and I'm going to get to it in a second, but I'm going to actually hold off on that. I'm going to get to it in a second. I'll come back to it. But what I'm going to talk about is the idea of grouping keywords together and writing thematic content. It's so hard for me to come back. I just want to, So longer form content, in my opinion, should be no less than 600 words. And it should be more comprehensive and try to accomplish something a little bit more on the educational side if you're going to write that long. because if it's not educational, it's not super valuable, people aren't going to read it. So tip number 6, keyword density and meta information. 2 to 3 mentions of your target keyword within a body of content is fine. If you're writing naturally and it's mentioned more times, or it makes sense to mention it more times, great. If you mention it less than 2, you're probably not going to be sending the message you want to Google about what that particular content is really about. You could also and should also use your target keywords in titles, so title descriptions and actual visual title. So meta information, title tag, meta description, and if you want to use a meta keyword tag, you could use that in your HTML. For the visual side of it, you absolutely want to use your target keywords in what they call the H1, which is the primary headline or title. And if you do a subtitle, like an H2, you could use a synonym or a semantically related keyword to the one that you're looking to rank for. Semantic or latent semantic keywords basically means that any keyword you want to rank for, probably there are other keywords that are used to say pretty much the same thing. And there are some SEO guys out there like Bruce Clay and others, including myself, who believe that you could strategically use those semantically related keywords. So instead of just dropping the same keyword 2 or 3 times, you could take 2 or 3 semantically related keywords and use them if appropriate. Got to balance the art, but if appropriate, 6, 7, 8 times. Again, remember, Google's not a person, it's not a human, it's a machine. And the machine will notice that little nuance and potentially it'll reap you some benefits. So again, as it relates to that tip, you need to make sure that your focus keywords are in the title and in the other meta information. The title tag, the title and the title meta tag are critical to communicating to Google what you believe that content is about, what you want them to believe it's about. All right, here's my final tip. Tip number 7, if you've been counting, is you need to put together a content calendar. This is a dynamic process, it's not static. This video is not meant to coach you or provide you with tips on how to write your next great piece of content. It's not. It's to provide you with the framework to put together a content calendar. Chris, how long should the content calendar be? Honestly, my gut tells me that you should commit to no less than 12 months. If I'm you, I'm looking to produce no less, worst case scenario, 2 to 3 original pieces of content per week. If you have the resources or you want to hire the resources, use freelancers or interns or whatever, I would love to see you get to a point where you're north of 5, maybe even 6 to 10 original pieces of content a week. But it's going to come from your content calendar. So, the calendar should be, January through December. I mean, we're in June here, but it could be what you're going to do for the remainder of June, July, August, and so on. I told you I would come back to something. One thing that will help you with your content calendar is to think about your target keyword list that you put together, and also your content marketing strategy. Kind of chunk things together. So in other words, take your keyword list and put related keywords into specific groups or themes or categories. I think theme is the most powerful keyword here. Not keyword, but the most important thing for you to understand, because you'd go sort of like theme, and then you'd have groups and categories within theme. I think theme is the right way to think about this. But so, group things, right? And then, publish content into those themes over time. The nice thing about starting with this idea of a theme is that you don't have to decide right now on what the actual content will be in July, August, September. All you really need to do is look at your target keyword list, create some themes, and commit to those themes. I could tell you that one of the secrets to breaking through on content marketing and really leapfrogging the competition is that at a certain point, your theme will become highly authoritative, whereas any one piece of content is valuable, and it should be valuable, but won't be sending the same message to Google that the entire theme will be sending. So if you don't rank for a target keyword, especially a broad keyword, a general keyword, in the first 90 days of your strategy, don't fret. If you continue to publish content within that particular broader theme, you will notice at some point a tipping point where you start to rank for some of those broad keywords. By the way, that's the secret. But it requires you to make that long-term effort, requires you to put together a content calendar that uses some of the tools and some of the strategies that I mentioned in this video. I hope this was useful. If you guys posted any questions below, I promise you I will get to them. If you would like me to dive into any of the other chapters in the book or any other topics with regard to SEO, more than happy to do that, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.